All right, we're going to turn now to another Democratic lawmaker, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, who says on another very important topic that she's going to do everything she can to block President Trump's Supreme Court nominee. What does that mean? Senator, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, you know the news. We're still finding out why this shooter killed these people and hurt more in the building where the Capitol Gazette is. We're light on details, but it does raise the issue of here's another one. Are you aware of anything on the federal level that is being done actively to deal with the issues that seem to invariably surround these shootings? We know what the states are doing, but on the federal level, is there anything to give any hope for any kind of momentum?
Well, Congress is certainly broken and has done nothing to end gun crime. But I do have hope because I believe the fact that this movement has become one led by kids, led by students, that it's intersectional, so it applies to all communities, all kinds of gun violence. That momentum that's being created by these kids marching out of school, marching on Washington is making a difference. To have young women like Emma Gonzalez call BS on every excuse every Congress member has ever given her, to have a young man stand up to Marco Rubio and say, stop taking money from the NRA, that's going to change things. And for everyone, every child that is marching and speaking out, they have parents who are now going to think about this issue differently. And that's going to happen in red states and blue states and purple states. So I actually am optimistic that when we do flip the House and possibly the Senate, our first vote can be on common sense gun reform to actually ban the assault weapons and the large magazines, ban the bump stocks, have a universal background check system where terrorists can't get access to weapons, and then have the investments in mental health that have been needed for a very long time. I think that is all possible, especially if we can flip the House and Senate.
All right, let's talk about the big news from yesterday, which is going to reverberate for days, weeks, and years to come. Justice Anthony Kennedy is stepping down. That means that President Trump will wind up having a big mark next to his name in the history books, not for what he says, not for any of his political policies, but he's going to put at least 2 conservative judges on this court. So, do you believe Democrats can do anything to stop a vote before the election?
I do. And Democrats can stop a vote before the election if people all across America speak out and demand it and protest and march and are really active in voicing their views, because what this president has promised to do, he said he would try to overturn Roe v. Wade. He said they would do it automatically, quote unquote. He has listed 25 judges, all of whom he believes will overturn Roe v. Wade. And so women's rights are absolutely on the chopping block.
Now, what you're going to hear from the right is the same thing we often hear from the left when it comes time to pick a judge, which is, I want somebody who looks at the facts and the law, that doesn't bring anything personal into it, nor partisan, and you know that whoever the nominee is going to say exactly that. And they may even say what John Roberts said when he was being put through the confirmation process of believing that Roe v. Wade is stare decisis. Would that be enough to allay your concerns?
I don't think that's going to happen, Chris, because the president's told us it's not going to happen. President Trump said, I'm going to pick from this list of 25, and that my goal in any one of these justices is to overturn Roe v. Wade. He already made it very clear who he was going to choose and why he was going to choose it. So to think that you're going to have a normal process under this president who hasn't done anything normally at all, I think is not... It's not a smart bet, because the truth is he's not going to do it. He's going to pick an ultra-conservative. And nobody believed him. No one believed him.
Still got the votes.
He didn't get a vote from one Democrat. And I believe now that we've seen what Gorsuch has done on this court, he's already undermined women's rights. He's already undermined union rights. He's already undermined basic civil rights in this country. I don't think people are going to trust that President Trump isn't going to do what he said he was going to do.
Didn't he? Are you right that he didn't get 1 vote? Didn't he get 3? Didn't he get Manchin?
He got no Democratic votes.
He didn't get Manchin, Heitkamp?
He did not. They stood strong, and they passed it with Republican votes.
Oh, I thought he got 3, by the way.
You might be right, Chris, but I believe this Democratic caucus will stand together, because you're really deciding whether or not you value women and you want them to have basic civil rights and civil liberties over their own.
But it does raise a good issue, though. You know, you have people who are vulnerable in some red states, and I was laying it out for the audience last night. The Democrats have to make sure that they have all their own on board first, because you've got some people who are vulnerable, and they may see this in terms of a survival mode for them, to go along with the president. What do you say to those Democrats?
I think this is a survival issue for women. I don't know how much you know about maternal mortality, but women in America, if you are young, if you are raped, you are 12 years old and forced to bring a pregnancy to term, that creates so much problem for that patient. Whether she survives childbirth or not, I don't know. But telling women they have to carry children to full term in all circumstances, I don't think that is what this country believes in. They believe that women are smart enough and capable enough to make their own moral choices, their own reproductive choices, their own healthcare choices. And when you're trying to say that politicians in Washington and a president of the United States should make that decision for you, I think they're going to disagree.
So Senator Gillibrand is banking on public sentiment. Let's talk about public sentiment in another forum, which is elections. In your home state, you just had a big development there in the congressional primary. A newcomer, 28-year-old Puerto Rican, Ocasio, won against a 10-term congressman, Joe Crowley. She had some words for you. She put out a tweet about it, if we have it for the audience. Disappointing that Gillibrand didn't even bother to talk nor consider me before endorsing. You'd think a progressive leader would at least be interested in how a no corporate money Bronx Latina triggered the first New York 14 primary in 14 years on progressive issues. What do you make of her point?
She ran an amazing race, and the issues she ran on are fantastic issues. And I supported Joe because he's my friend, and because of his leadership, we passed the 9/11 health bill. So I was going to support him regardless of how great she is. But it doesn't mean I can't be excited for her election and what she's actually going to do. I think she's going to shake up Congress. I think she's going to make a difference. I think this country is yearning for young women voices, women of color's voices. She's going to make a difference, and that's good for America. It's good for New York. It's good for democracy.
You know, it gets tricky. I know Crowley's your friend, but you believe in her positions, but you didn't endorse. And this is kind of what you're seeing within your party in figuring out who do you guys want to get behind. If you had to do it again, would you have backed her?
No, I mean, I backed Joe for a reason. We've worked together for a decade, and we worked really hard on a lot of legislation, including the 9/11 health bill. So he earned my vote. But it doesn't mean that Alexandria is not going to come to Washington and make a difference.
She's also got some positions that are even to the left of Bernie Sanders. She wants to get rid of ICE. Now, what are you going to do with your party if you do come into a majority and you have a significant number, or at least an influence, of people who have that kind of a position?
Yeah. Well, I agree with it. I don't think ICE today is working as intended.
Well, you think you should get rid of the agency?
I believe that it has become a deportation force, and I think you should separate the criminal justice from the immigration issues, and I think you should reimagine ICE under a new agency with a very different mission and take those two missions out. And so we believe that we should protect families that need our help, and that is not what ICE is doing today, and that's why I believe you should get rid of it, start over, reimagine it, and build something that actually works.
All right. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, thank you very much for making the time. We know you got a vote schedule. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Chris. I appreciate it.